October 7th then, a year on, 1,200 dead on October 7th, 250 hostages taken, 97 still in Gaza. Heavy bombardment from Israel over the last few days of Beirut and Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
The Independent front page was interesting, wasn't
it? Staggering. Just a list of statistics of what we've seen in the past year. For instance, 1,000 attacks on healthcare facilities in occupied Palestinian territories. 41,878 Palestinians killed in Gaza, according to Gaza's health ministry. 304 aid workers killed. And those numbers are just going to keep going up.
Starmer will be giving a statement to the Commons. He's already put out a statement today where he said it was the darkest day in Jewish history since the Holocaust. 1 year on, he reiterated his call for an immediate ceasefire and for the removal of all restrictions on humanitarian aid into Gaza, which is still being restricted on its way in. There was a big conversation, wasn't there, around what aid was moving in and out of Gaza for some time.
Mm-hmm.
And then that conversation sort of ceased to exist.
I wonder if it's hard for conversations like that to maintain momentum because the conflict has been going on for so long and things keep building up and atrocities keep building on top of each other, that I wonder if it's difficult for those conversations to keep parsing through. Like, for instance, when I'm talking about Israel's actions in Lebanon, that it's hard for kind of mission statement or just cut through to happen, for momentum to build on these things. And particularly as well, with Israel just seeming not to bow to any international pressure about the war, about the conflict, that I wonder if it just seems futile to these people.
Incredibly painful day for many, many people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something that can't be... I read something earlier about grief isn't a competition.
Yes.
People, Israel and Jewish people can mourn people on October the 7th, and that doesn't preclude or doesn't diminish anyone's grief or their grief for people who've been killed in the conflict that followed. Well, the whole thing is a tragedy.
Yeah, the sort of discourse online is sort of a footballification of it.
Yeah, it's really ugly point scoring.
Really ugly point scoring.
I don't know if we talked about it, but Robert Jenrick wearing the was it Hamas or terrorist or Hezbollah or terrorist T-shirt. I thought that was just incredibly poor taste.
It's childish.
It's you're taking an issue that is what's like thousands and thousands of people have died, and you're just reducing it to a point scoring opportunity to win the Conservative Party leadership.
And I don't know how on earth that would make anyone feel better who's had someone die.
Yeah.
In Israel. Would that make them feel any better, seeing a Conservative candidate wearing that? I mean, what have you achieved? It'd be far more interesting if when they were in government or even in opposition to actually move toward this ceasefire, this elusive ceasefire. There's a very interesting professor, Lebanese professor that I spoke to last week, was talking about the sort of the futility of the UK being involved in discussions. I mean, even the sort of like the statements that are given by our Prime Minister or the discussions that happen in the House of Commons are really quite futile when you look at the larger conflict at play, because even the US has very limited intervention apart from supplying weapons and sending equipment down to the Middle East. But in terms of like what we're actually doing, and in terms of our soft power that's diminished, our actual power is sort of ceasing to exist.
No, definitely is. Did you watch Laura's piece from the march on Saturday?
I didn't. I'm really sorry, Laura.
It's excellent. I would recommend...
I watched the clips you sent, but not the...
I don't know what's better for retention, if they pause it and watch it or if they go to it afterwards, but it's like a really brilliant piece of reporting on the pro-Palestine rally in central London on Saturday. And Laura also spoke to pro-Israel demonstrators as well, and I think there was a bit in it which really summed up kind of the bad faith people assume bad faith about the other side, and it's a point scoring exercise. And one woman said the thing about these people, meaning the pro-Palestine demonstrators, is that they never talk about October 7th. They never want to commemorate the people who died on October the 7th. And the next person in the video is someone saying, of course, what happened on October the 7th is a tragedy. And I think I think the vast majority of people would agree that what happened on October the 7th was absolutely deplorable, should never be repeated. But also what was happening in Palestine, in Gaza since that, is also a tragedy. People aren't binary about this.
I thought the Telegraph front page on Sunday was particularly unhelpful. Someone silly who was carrying a sign at that march. There was about 300,000 people there. Someone silly carrying an I Love Hezbollah placard. I mean, you must know that that's going to end up on the front of a newspaper.
Yeah.
And are you doing that to sort of make it seem that the entire march had a bad faith motive for going on that march? What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, it really makes it difficult for, if you were unsure about attending that march and showing solidarity, if you saw that plastered across the press, it would maybe put normal people off it as well.
I find it quite tiresome because we've covered many of those Palestine marches, many of them, and they're so big and so broad and huge, and they're commentated on by people who've clearly never been to one. And so they're commentated on as if it's just sort of like a whole load of, well, firstly they like
militants.
Yeah, but firstly they like to reduce the number of people who attended it. They like to say that it's much smaller than it was. The Times, I think it was reporting, was tens of thousands. It was definitely more than tens of thousands, I would say, at that march on Saturday. I mean, you can see from the aerial footage, and you were there, Laura. I don't know if you thought there was more than that there.
Definitely close to 100,000.
Yeah, a lot bigger than that.
Well, I found the whole thing quite unsatisfying. I went on a news channel last year to talk about the pro-Palestine protest that was going to happen on the Saturday before Remembrance Day. And I found the whole thing, I went on quite naively thinking there was going to be a sensible debate about it, but it just came down to the host telling me that the march was a Hamas march. And I was like, my friends aren't going on a Hamas march. Like, my friends don't support Hamas. You can't say that everyone there supports Hamas. And he was like, well, how do you know? I was like, well, how do you know that they do? It's like the whole discourse about people just lose their minds. It's really incredibly bad faith.
But
It makes
what would
it
be
just
the intention
horrific.
as well of supporting Hamas? What would be the what's the line that they're trying to deliver there? That this is sort of like
That you're an Islamist militant.
Right. Is that helpful?
No, probably not.
Right. Gosh. Discourse. Everyone's lost their minds.
Everyone has lost their minds.
You were at another protest today, though.
I was.
The Chagossians.
Yes, Chagossians. This is one of the most bizarre stories of the 20th century, I would say.
Well, it's a crowded field, so...
Yeah, it's big, isn't it? That's 100 years. Okay, let me know if my assessment was right there. So picture this. You are a British civil servant in about the mid-1960s, and the US says to you, we want an army base in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And you say, perfect. I have just the place. We have this cluster of islands called the Chagos Islands. Perfect. It's going to be absolutely perfect for you. Slap bang in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Amazing for American interests. And America says, does anyone live there? And you say, yes, but we'll get rid of them. We're going to forcibly displace this group of people to Mauritius and the Seychelles. And you might ask, are they from Mauritius and the Seychelles? No, they're not. Will they have nice life there? No, they won't. It's like an absolutely... So this group, the Chagossians, they've been forcibly displaced from their homeland and living in places that they have no historic ties to, treated quite horrendously by the British government when they were given British citizenship in 2002.
So what's the problem with that?
What is the problem with that?
What would be the objection to that?
What? Did you mean to say that about 2 minutes ago?
No?
No. You've completely thrown me with that random interjection.
Sorry. We're podcasting, aren't we?
That feels like something you should have said when I was doing the role play by myself.
Okay. Sorry for my format.
Are you doing a game where you just say everything a bit later?
Sure.
Okay, excellent. But now, because you might have seen in the news recently that we're giving the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, and you might have wondered, I've never heard of the Chagos Islands. And so the people who are native to Chagos Islands, what they're objecting to is that they were basically not consulted about this handover from Britain to Mauritius. And they argue, so when Britain used to govern Mauritius, and the Chagos Islands is part of that kind of administrative area, but it's never been part of Mauritius. So they're objecting to being handed over without any of their consent.
I mean, sounds all above board.
Are you happy with that?
Look,
So these people were making a big fuss about nothing today?
well, look, because it's just such a ludicrous story, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
do you go with this? The nuts thing was, I mean, you spoke to a few Chagossians today. There were, the interview that I haven't seen it yet, but the interview that I watched was on Newsnight on Friday, and it was this guy just being like, why would we go back to Mauritius?
Mm-hmm.
You came in the 60s, you decided that this was your island, no say, and now as a way of apology, you've gone, we're actually going to let Mauritius have you.
Yeah.
Like, should someone on the island have been consulted about it?
Yeah, no, it's extraordinary. And they made the point. Imagine like the UK tried to just gave Gibraltar back to Spain.
People will be up in arms about it.
Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, and they make the point about national self-determination.
Or Javier Milei taking the Falklands
My
back.
boy.
Yeah, your boy. El cerdo de mierda.
Exactly.
You shit leftard. That's what he says.
Do you know who was there at the protest, actually, which I thought was quite interesting?
Milei.
Was at he's very pro Chagos Islands. No,
Yeah?
Henry Bolton,
Henry Bolton.
the former UKIP
Haven't heard that
leader.
name around here in a while.
I was confused as to why he was there. And I spoke to him and I wondered if he was going to make some sort of heavy-handed, inappropriate, insensitive comparison to Brexit.
Right.
He didn't, to give him some credit.
To give him some credit.
Yeah, I thought he was going to make some like really...
I once got into a row with him in a green room.
What about?
I've never gotten into a row with anyone in the green room, partly because I just mind my own business. I wouldn't like... I got to be honest with you. I think I'm being paid when I'm on air, and so I'm not going to have a row about policy in a green room. But I was particularly incensed that day because he'd confused two women who don't look anything alike, and he had blamed one woman for saying something that she hadn't said.
Gosh.
And I thought that was appalling, and I brought it to his attention, and he looked really wounded and really upset about it, and I was totally thrown off because I'd sort of like, you know, when you're like, I've gassed myself up here, I've got to stand, I'm going to tell him this is why this is appalling. And he was just like, gosh, I can't believe it, I owe her a massive apology. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, you do. Thank you for your time.
Also there, in the spot where the protest was supposed to be, and a much bigger protest, there was a Unite rally campaigning against the cut to the winter fuel allowance. And I thought that sort of summed up the issue that the Chagossians have, in that the Chagossian community in Britain is actually like really quite small. I think there's about 3,000 in the UK.
Just how the Brits like it.
Tiny. And there's also some communities in the Seychelles and in the Mauritius, but they're not really in contact with each other. But because it's such a small community, they can basically be... There's so few people in that community and so few people who know about the issue, who care enough to do anything about it, that I think it's no wonder that the government just thought we can just bypass these people entirely.
It was a consultation that was first opened up by James Cleverly, wasn't it, in 2022?
Yes.
They started to decide on what to do about it.
Yep.
What are the reasons for giving it back to Mauritius? Do we know? Or I suppose we'll find out more, won't we, in the statements coming this afternoon,
Yeah.
which we'll post on the PoliticsJOE
Yes,
YouTube.
absolutely. I just think it seems To not consult the Chagossians just seems like an own goal.
What
as
was
well.
the concerns from Human Rights Watch?
Oh, so basically they've described how Britain has treated the Chagossians as a crime against humanity.
Oh, that's
And
pretty big, that.
It is, and it's an ongoing crime in that there's been no resolution until they have the right to return. And so basically, there's different islands, and one of the islands, Diego Garcia, is the one that's leased to the US as a military base, and it's going to continue to be leased. So they're going to be allowed to return to some of the outer islands, but not Diego Garcia. And some people at the rally today, that's where they were born, and it's become about like returning to their homelands, and it's quite like it's like a really like human, like soulful thing. They want to return to where they were born, basically to die, because the generation that were born on the islands are getting old now. It's kind of like the diaspora generation are doing a lot of the campaigning and a lot of the raising awareness, and they're also concerned about that the older generation kind of running out of time and dying without ever being able to return. So the compromise that they have at the moment, which has been forced upon them, they didn't say, okay, brilliant, we'll leave Diego Garcia, we're happy with just the other ones. They still want they want the whole island.
There was a particularly harrowing story you were told, weren't you, about a one woman who gave birth?
Yeah, it was one woman gave birth on her journey from Diego Garcia to Mauritius on a boat, and they seem to have been treated like worse than cattle on this boat.
That is treating someone like cattle, for sure.
It's absolutely horrific. Just imagine the trauma of giving birth to a child in this in the middle of the Indian Ocean, surrounded by people.
Yeah.
Without any.
She's lucky
cleanliness.
to be alive.
It's also as well, what I think is incredible is this was the 60s and 70s. This is what it sounds like, something from the 17th century, 18th century, but it happened like 6 decades ago, and it's just a textbook example
living memory
of colonial cruelty that Britain inflicted. Like, I mean, like they could have been the person in charge of this, who decided that this is going to happen, could have gone home and switched on the Beatles. Like, it's so incongruous. At like a time when we were supposed to be like the world was supposed to be throwing off kind of the shackles of colonialism, like the Second World, the Third World was at the forefront, and Britain's just carving up. It's just displacing an entire group of people. Mm-hmm. It really boggles the mind.
Much easier to get away with pre-social media era, isn't it?
Yes.
You can't just go about displacing people now.
Well, you can in the Middle East.
That was sort of my point.
Right. Good point. Good point. Well made. Will there be a protest for Sue Gray, do you think?
Well, I was going to ask you, big day for Sue Gray, isn't it? Or big day, should we say, for Morgan McSweeney, who takes the gauntlet?
Absolutely. For someone who doesn't pay... Imagine someone in this audience, not someone in this room, doesn't pay that much attention to Downing Street machinations. What's been going on?
Well, Sue Gray was head of the civil service, which is an impartial role, right? You work for... You report to the government, you don't have a political persuasion. It was then revealed she was stepping down from the civil service to become Keir Starmer's chief of staff, which is a political role. Since then, she's worked closely with the Prime Minister. Even before that, she was actually involved in a lot of the transition meetings, which meant that she was, it's sort of like when a government is going to, when an administration is going to take government, they go to the civil service and they say, these are the sort of things we want to do. Consultations begin. The civil service start planning on how they can implement those changes. It doesn't sort of happen just like as soon as, in their first 100 days. There's plans that are put into place. And she was involved in all of that, right? But now as from a political perspective, not the impartial civil service role. Her son was also given a safe Labour seat.
I think that's an incredible thing.
It is an incredible thing. It's now been decided. So essentially she was viewed as sort of the power behind the throne, right? She was Starmer's chief of staff. She was in pretty much every meeting. Actually, even when the Prime Minister went to meet President Biden a couple of weeks ago, she was sitting at the top table. She was sitting opposite Joe Biden. This is how in she was with the clique. It's now been decided that actually her role was too exposed, that the press had too much of an interest in her, that people were asking too many questions. She had a sort of a whiff of infamy about her. And over the weekend, it was revealed that she would be standing down. It's likely that she will be... Well, there's some talk about whether she... I think The Guardian are reporting that she's potentially going to be put into the House of Lords, and then she'll take on a more regional role. In that role, though, she'll
Envoy
report
for the regions and nations.
Yes.
Which makes you wonder why we have MPs from those regions and nations.
And she'll be reporting to Pat McFadden rather than Keir Starmer, which leads some commentators to say that she's fallen out with Starmer. And the sort of, Starmer is so incredibly ruthless and he's politicking all the time. He's fantastic. That's where you've seen that sort of rhetoric come from.
Ava, can you rotate your mic just a little bit closer to you? Thank you.
If Starmer had such a strong grip on his government, they might have got some good news stories out over these past 100 days.
So a couple of weeks ago, she was blamed for strategising the press response to Lord Ali, who, as you know, is the big donor, who was given a pass to Downing Street. And she apparently decided that they weren't going to tell the press, who, according to Patrick Maguire, she refers to as scumbag journalists.
Not true. Not all of us. Not all journalists.
That she wasn't that they would not inform the press that Lord Ali's pass had actually been revoked. And a lot of people blame that for the reason that the Lord Ali story got so out of hand. Because when the Times were originally reporting that story, they're like, Lord Ali's got access. Mm-hmm. Because she was playing this sort of... You got to remember, okay, she was a barkeep in Northern Ireland. And she's got, like, the press love to, like, really fluff up how she had all these relationships with, like, she was feared by IRA paramilitaries, and so she would face down them. What is Pat McFadden? Yeah. Where was I going with that point? Anyway, she's sort of seen as like this very tough person who sort of shutters down, what she said goes, and actually that is now being blamed as a reason why Labour have got into such a PR disaster over the past couple of weeks.
Do they just hate to see a girl boss winning?
Do you know what's really annoying is that I could feel you perking up for the past couple of minutes, ready to say something. And now that you've said it, I'm like, of course that's what you were going to say.
Do they?
Do they love to see a girl boss winning?
No, do they hate to see it?
Do you know what I like? Okay, let me just... There's all these conspiracy theories that she's a spy.
I mean, why would a woman with no links to Northern Ireland go and open a pub in Northern Ireland during the Troubles?
Because she liked the culture.
She was upset. She wanted to... She was doing an anthropological study.
The story is that she was in her car driving and she was stopped by the IRA, who were like, where are you going? Mm-hmm. And she starts speaking, she's English too. And they're like, you're English. Ah! And another member of the IRA apparently turns around and is like, that's Sue Gray. Let her pass. Let her through. So, I don't know, maybe she was doing a bit of a Kamala Harris over there. That's a very niche joke. And
what's a Kamala Harris over there?
I'll tell you about that afterwards.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so, gosh, we're coming up to Starmer's 100 days. Mm-hmm. And I think on day one, he wouldn't be thrilled that we're not talking about his totemic government and what he's achieved in the first 100 days. We're talking about Sue Gray instead.
So they want you to talk about it.
Who?
They.
Who's them?
They.
The girl bosses?
You can't. Yeah, there was actually a really cheap line that I read at one point, which was like, on your girl boss point, which was like, Angela Rayner. It was thought, or there was concerns that Angela Rayner would be furious that another woman had been ousted like this. It's like, if you've got any sort of like vague idea of what's going on in that power struggle, you know that Angela Rayner is not coming out to bat for Sue Gray.
Yeah, it's just quite like, well, woman.
Yeah, obviously,
women like women.
Well, the thing is, all of our wombs link up, and we're all so. Obviously, the deputy prime minister is probably like, "Oh, I've already synced up, so I don't want to sync up to another woman." Like, honestly,
you need to reboot.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah.
I think that's
It's actually a nightmare when you start syncing up to a new friendship group.
How often does that happen?
Oh my God, so often. It's like, I was talking about it with...
How do you know?
Because we talk about things like that.
You're like, you're all like, we're sunk. We're synced. We're synced up.
Yeah, we all talk in code.
Oh, yeah. What on earth could that mean?
We Morse code each other to let each other know.
But
that,
how does it happen?
I mean, I guess it's all sort of urban legend, isn't it? But it does seem that you do get pulled which way.
Within like, could you be pulled like weeks off?
Yeah.
Really?
It really does happen.
It's just, the human body is...
Comment below who you're synced up with.
On our Patreon tier, we'll let you hang out with Ava enough to sync up.
Yeah.
You get to come and just sit off camera there.
I think I've got quite a strong pull. I like to argue that I like to push in the group that they're coming to me. Mm-hmm. But I do think that there is one of them who's like a really, really good columnist. And I think I moved to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How good?
You really like her.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. I think I would be affected by her.
Do you think you'd move to her?
Her menstrual cycle would really affect mine.
Yeah.
I think that's something.
Anyway, back on Sue Gray.
No, staying on this.
Oh, fine.
I think that's something, as a man, you just can't really contend with. Just how lucky you are not to...
I mean, it's not
bleed.
that terrible. I'm not like shot in the face once.
No, but it doesn't sound
like,
good. It doesn't like. I don't want to.
Well,
bleed.
I don't want to be like you lot. Like,
What do we do?
like, I mean, are we going to get into it?
Yeah. What do we do?
No, let's not get into that.
Well, because men are perfect. That's the line.
Perverts.
Men are perfect perverts.
Men are perverts. You
And
shouldn't say that. Not all men.
no one hates to see a girl boss winning more than men.
No one loves to see a girl boss syncing up with other girl bosses.
That's very good.
Who's the most evil person you've synced up with? Comment below.
Oh, I've just thought of a really sexist joke.
Go on.
Is it fine to say if I acknowledge that it's sexist beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay, this is something a sexist person would say, not me.
Okay.
And I need that to be...
All right.
You know the line about like, oh, there'd be no wars if women were in charge?
Yeah.
What if they were all like synced up at the UN and got really angry?
Well, we'd take those 2 days off, wouldn't we?
Yeah, that's true actually. That was a sexist person's joke.
I've been watching a lot of Chernobyl stuff recently.
Have you?
Yeah.
You get into that?
Got really into Chernobyl.
Any particular reason?
I don't know. It's hard to say. But I've got a lot of... I think we should do a Chernobyl podcast.
From Chernobyl?
I really want
Probably
Ollie...
can't go there at the moment.
Yeah, you can go there at the moment. Oh, no, you can't go right now, can you?
No,
But
because
you can...
there's a war.
Yeah. But I would like to... Sorry, I was thinking in terms of radiation, but now that I've... Yeah, you can't actually go there right now. But, like, let's be honest, they're not going to bomb that, are they? Oh, wait, there was a concern. There was a concern that they were going to bomb that and then it was going to release all of the...
So I think...
Battle near Chernobyl.
Yeah.
It sounds so that's exciting. The battle near Chernobyl.
We really shouldn't go there doubly.
No one ever talks about the real battle that was near Waterloo, which was just like 1,000 women sinking up.
Absolutely kicking the shit out of Napoleon?
No, they just had a big love-in. It was just 1,000 women crying.
Crying, eating chocolate.
Sure.
Sharing moon cups.
What's wrong with you?
Is that what you do when you're synced up?
Yeah, we share moon cups.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Maybe I am a sexist. You know how I said that was a sexist person talking and not me? Maybe that's on me.
That's all you.
Yeah.
But I'd love to go to Chernobyl.
I think we need to wait a little bit.
We should wait until they've resolved that.
Yes.
All that's going on there.
Dark tourism is a weird thing.
I don't think it's dark tourism.
I think that is dark tourism.
I think the fascination is that it's just proof you shouldn't do anything on the cheap. That's for sure.
Right.
Because that was the problem, wasn't it? A lot of it. They used like graphite as a substitute because it was cheaper, and actually that was very bad.
And don't we know that now? There used to be, in my French class at school, they showed a map of, I think this must have been a teaching assistant. I think a French person showed this, and none of my actual French teachers were French. Regardless, it was a map of France that had the areas that were incredibly affected by radiation from Chernobyl, and also a map of high support for the National Front, and there was large crossover.
You're joking?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And they showed us that to us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Soviet radiation.
Oh, that's called Soviet PSYOP. Chernobyl was a Soviet PSYOP to get Marie Le Pen elected as president of France.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
I think it's absolutely not true.
I'd quite like to. I mean, yeah, but there's always like correlation, not causation,
Yes.
right? And I think that those can be really fun maps.
They are great.
Yeah. The one thing that does link is there's like the Venn diagram of like people who don't care if people die in the Channel versus people who want to hang others for animal cruelty is a full circle.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that is true.
Some of the most like far right you know would kill you over like a hamster.
Yeah, there was the RSPCA. The RSPCA was founded before the NSPCC, which is absolutely staggering.
I love us.
Yeah.
Anyway, as only I can say that because I'm the true bastion of caring about animals.
Because you don't eat them.
No.
Whereas I care about them so much, I want to taste them.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they're yummy. You don't care if they're yummy.
No.
So I am. Yeah, I like to make double sure that they are absolutely scrumptious.
But that's also because you hate the environment.
That's a different thing entirely. I also just don't believe in climate change.
You believe in shale gas.
I believe in fracking.
Where would you frack?
First.
Yeah. I'd frack on number 10.
Enough hot air in there anyway.
Yeah. I'd put a thermo whatever in there.
Yeah, you could put bloody heat conductors in there.
Yeah.
A hot air balloon, more like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good then.
That was good.
We should do more bits, shouldn't we?
We should do more. I think the first half of this podcast was very heavy and not very funny. But I think we've really lightened the mood.
You see, that's exactly the same thing that happens when you start syncing up.
We become funny.
Sure.
Sure. Do you think you and I will sync up at some point?
I don't know, Ed. Do you want to?
Is it voluntary?
I don't think it's consensual.
Okay. Is it just... What if you sync up with someone you don't like?
That's what I'm saying. What if you sync up to like a dictator?
How often are you spending time with a female dictator?
Well, look, it's not for me to say.
Who is a female dictator?
I've got loads of funny answers, but I'm scared to lie.
It's too great.
Nicola Sturgeon.
Nicola Sturgeon. Nippy Sturgeon. That's what people used to call her.
Yeah?
Sexist people
Okay.
like me.
Why
It's
are you revealing your ankle to me? It was so light. It actually, my gaze went to it. I was like,
blinded for
yeah, I was like, what's that bright light coming from beneath the table? Do you remember when you used to sit under the table?
No.
Yeah.
I used to do what?
That was a joke.
Oh.
But actually a joke you wouldn't be aware of. When Ollie and I used to do it alone, we used to say that you were under the table.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I used to just sit and listen. They said I had to get better at podcasting. So I just listened to the two pros.
Yeah. This is what we came up with.
They said you've not been on Talk TV enough. So, well, nobody's on Talk TV now.
No. Talk radio.
Talk radio. Should we wish happy birthday to Ollie Johnson?
Oh, Ollie, is it your birthday?
Yeah.
Ollie Johnson,
happy birthday.
key behind the scenes member here at Joe. Happy birthday. Drop a happy birthday in the comments.
Do you want to do a happy birthday, Mr. President, to him?
Not really.
Go on.
Do you?
No, go on.
No, I don't really want to do one.
Sean, do you want to do it?
Sean comes out wearing the dress. Like Roger in American Dad. just fully locked and loaded.
Roger, I like that Roger in American Dad is your culture reference. I was thinking about Lana Del Rey in the National Anthem video.
I've never seen that.
You'd
But
like it.
But I've seen American Dad.
Knowing your taste, fella, you'd like it.
Knowing how much you like hot girls. Can we also wish a happy birthday to my nana today?
Oh, yeah.
Happy 90th birthday to my nana. Drop a happy birthday in the comments for Nana, please.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, she's great, which is very nice. You've never met her, which is a shame.
I'd love to meet her, but you didn't invite me to her birthday last week.
No, it was kind of just family. Which
That's why I expected to be invited.
I know we've sunk, but we're not family yet, I would say.
Sunk.
Yeah.
Is that the past of... Ah.
Yes. Yep.
Do you know, I've got someone in my life at the moment who keeps getting really annoyed when I say drank.
I drank that. I drunk that. I think that.
I think it's I was drinking.
But it's a different tense.
Drank, apparently not a thing.
Well, that's driving me up the wall. Okay.
Yeah, me too, fella. Me
Should
fucking
we leave that
too.
there?
Yeah.
Do they have any content to look forward to?
I don't know.
Excellent.
Drop a comment if you're looking forward to any content.
Nope. Nope.
Should we let them know where Ollie's gone?
Fucking.
Yeah.
You got what you wanted,
Yeah,
guys.
you got exactly what you wanted.
We read your comments, and don't worry, you guys are in charge now.
Laura's gone too.
Yeah, Laura's gone. She was getting too much love in the comments, and our egos couldn't take it.
Yeah.
So we needed a new producer.
I just want to take a moment to talk about this one commenter who left the best comment I've ever seen in my entire life.
Which was what?
He referred to me as the beautiful Amazonian and Laura as the bulging-eyed hobbit.
Yeah.
And when she told me about it, I'm like, oh my God. And she goes, no, it was complimentary.
The what Amazonian?
Beautiful Amazonian.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Also, Amazonian's not like 10 feet tall.
Well, you see, I look very big next to Laura.
I think they also have like 3 boobs as well.
3 boobs. Well.
I think that's a key part of being an Amazonian.
3 boobs.
3 boobies. I think that is part of it. I'm going to look up. Oh, maybe. Amazonian.
How much cartoons have you been watching recently?
Amazonian 3 breasts?
Free the breasts.
Oh, no.
Is it not a
Oh,
thing?
no. What is the condition with 3 breasts?
Look at the radiation map I sent you.
Sean sent me a WhatsApp. Oh, no. Have I made an error? Sorry, this is great. On what country is that?
Sweden.
On a map of Sweden is the density of radioactive fallout from Chernobyl, and the area correlated with the most popular porn categories per region.
Wow.
So in the areas with the most radioactive fallout from Chernobyl, do you want to take a guess at what they're watching? Hentai.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Oh, don't Google it. don't Google hentai.
What is it? How do I spell it? How do I spell it?
HENTAI.
Oh, that's what I did. Oh, right.
I think there's lots of 3-breasted women in hentai, to be fair.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to go on Pornhub because...
Because we're at work.
Oh, my God! Oh, no, but that's going to be on my search history.
Yeah. we weren't even rolling for the podcast. They're just going straight to HR.
That was like earlier I was looking with at Channing Tatum and Zoe Kravitz, but now for some reason it's got like the Pornhub next to Channing Tatum and Zoe Kravitz.
That's really good.
I wasn't looking at them on Pornhub. The link for that is hentai, which is what I was exclusively looking at.
Why did I think that Amazonians had 3 breasts?
I'm not sure. Sorry, can you tell me more about the porn map?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Then it's just that's the most interesting part, I think.
Hentai.
Yeah, and then it's hentai, and I like how Sean had that locked and loaded. Sean was like, "We're talking Chernobyl maps."
Have I got a map for you, fella?
I've been browsing my list of countries by porn category again. I want to see where my hentai
What else was
pals
on
are.
there?
Just names of porn categories.
Yeah, go on. So as it
Mature.
is, what if they've been Chernobyl pills?
So the Chernobyl pills are the hentai gang.
That's it. They only watch hentai.
I think most popular. I don't think only.
Okay.
Probably supplementary to other things.
What else?
What else on the map? Amateur, lesbian, MILF, anal, big dick, mature.
So it's very sort of like juvenile or
Juvenile porn.
requests, apart from where they've been like uraniumed. That's like
They've been awakened.
because I think that what else you read out there, I felt like that's sort of like what a teenage boy looks up on. Beautiful couple having sex.
What teenage boys?
Can I tell you a story?
Couple in love.
Can I tell you? Yeah, couple in love. Can I? How to do this? Can I then tell you a really mad story? So, a friend of mine who was working for an MP goes back to their. This is their personal laptop, just to be clear. He's on the personal laptop because it'd be entirely different if it was a House of Commons computer. And the most recent searches was porn, but the search made me really sad. It was like, woman, big breasts.
Woman, 3 breasts.
Yeah. He just wanted to see a big boobed woman.
Do you know what I'm sad about is I was going to text my nana like a link to us talking,
Oh,
wishing her happy
God,
birthday,
you can't do it.
and then it's like head time.
We'll do that video for your nana separately.
Okay, well,
Wait, I've got another great story.
oh, stop it.
So, a friend of mine was on her like boyfriend's computer and like looked at her. This is like years ago now, probably like a decade ago. Looks up like at the porn that he's been looking at because I think that is a fascination for women. Like they are actually quite interested in what porn their boyfriend is looking at, right? It's like the type of woman that he'd been searching for is exactly what she looks like.
Is that better or worse?
I don't know.
I think that's good then.
But she's got a very distinct look. And yeah, even down
3
to the eye
breasts.
colour. Yeah.
She has 3 breasts.
Yeah.
So you can only look at women with 3 breasts. Why did I think that person had?
Why did you think that?
I don't know.
I mean, is it a bit racist?
Against Amazonians, a mythical.
Yeah. I don't think that they are.
People that live in the Amazon.
The Amazon, yeah.
But the Amazonian women are like 7 foot
I
tall,
think
10 feet
sorry,
tall.
this search history is getting really out of control here. Like, but
Amazonian. It's like Wonder Woman.
should we go back to him and should we ask about if he's talking about Greek mythology or if he's talking about people from the Amazon?
The Amazons were a people in Greek mythology. That's who I'm talking about.
So no, you weren't at all. You
Yes.
were talking about like that hentai adjacent stuff.
I was talking about the people imperiled by people chopping down the rainforest.
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
My God, this is all pervy as well.
What are we talking about? Can we talk about that porn
Oh,
book
yeah,
that
this
women
is-
are reading? Yeah, that's an Amazonian.
Okay.
Do you know that porn fairy book that women are reading?
The porn fairy book.
Yes. Do you know this book, Laura? Yes.
Wait, what is it?
Sarah J. Maas.
I'm looking up some mental things.
Has got-
Sarah J.
MAAS, and women are reading it, and it's
Throne
just
of
porn.
Glass?
I feel quite like
He wasn't
what?
Wasn't- someone you know reading that.
No,
They were.
it's just porn.
Someone you know was reading
Someone
that.
I know was reading it, and they showed me this scene, and I was like,
what
"This
happened
is."
in the scene?
It's just like puts what was it like, and up at the fairy put his cock in me or something.
Sorry?
Put his cock in me. It's just like really graphic.
Fairy?
Yeah.
Fairy?
Yeah. But fairies are big in this world. And it, like, see, like they've got really distinctive, like, if you're on the tube or like trap, like,
It's
if
a
you
book
see
about
a woman,
fairies.
if you see a woman reading like a solid cover book, they are reading porn. And I feel like, who is that? Is it Mrs. Marison? Is that who I mean? Is that moralistic crusader in the 70s? That's how I feel talking about this. But
It's like Harry Potter fan fiction or something.
no, it's like a fantasy world and story, but they're all just like banging each other.
I don't like fantasy.
I do like fantasy. because of the porn in it.
I'm more of a like Victorian literature where no one was touching each other.
Just
vibes.
Longing glances.
Yeah. Not even that.
brush
That's
of
a bit
hands.
much. You know it's been Americanized if the glance is too long.
Got you. What's a Victorian book that everyone should read?
Well, look, funny enough, I was just talking about this to HR. We were talking about we were talking about Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, I've never read Pride
Yeah.
and Prejudice.
And that's a very sexual book, really, you know. But they all are, I guess. All Victorian novels are. It's just about women longing.
It's the human condition.
Yeah. The French around that time, they were on something.
I once read the Belge art on a beach, and it really killed the vibe.
The bell jar.
Yeah, it's not really a beach read.
Over the weekend, I did not get a laugh out of a joke, and I want to see if you get a laugh
Okay.
out of it. So we were talking about going to the Seven Sisters, you know, the cliffs.
Yes.
And I referred to it as the Virgin Suicides. I thought that was really good.
I don't get that. Oh, I don't get it.
Virgin Suicides is a book about...
Seven Sisters.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
thanks.
Should
It didn't get a laugh then either.
Well, maybe they'll have freaking loved it.
She's six sisters, but anyway, yeah.
It didn't get a laugh if it's Six Sisters.
But it was good.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Shall we leave it there?
Might as well. We've gone right over time.
This is
This is
going to
not
be
the
tight.
tight half an hour that we were promised.
No. Thank you everyone for listening. Remember to like and subscribe.
Let us know if you've read the fairy porn book.
Yes, or if you know what I'm talking about. Let us know if you're into hentai.
Have you
and then
synced
stop
up to
watching
any-
this program.
Fairies.
If you're watching hentai right now, you have to stop, or you stop listening to this. That's the bargain we're making with the audience.
You've never watched hentai.
No, I've never watched hentai.
You knew a lot about it.
I knew a lot about it.
Yeah.
What would you mean I knew a lot about it?
Enough to tell me to not look at it while at work.
I suppose with any porn though. I know enough about porn to let you
You
not
sat
watch
upstairs
it.
for a good week solid looking at porn.
That's not true, and they know that's not true.
That is true.
I wasn't looking at porn. I was doing research. I was doing research for my content about the porn awards. I didn't watch any porn. Can't believe you come for me like that.
Ew.
If you're a woman with 3 breasts watching this podcast,
Did you hear what he said?
okay, this has gone off the rails. We were very solemn at the beginning. I don't think we're very solemn now.
Jesus.
Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Go to the subreddit r/PoliticsJOE. Leave more weighty comments about what you think this podcast means to us. Yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.